All right, this is One Last Midnight. Welcome back to another episode of Astroneer. Well, Astroneer put out an update the other day, actually September 19th, 2022. Update 1.26. It's what they claimed was a small update, but it's got a lot of significant stuff, and it should already be out for Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation, coming soon to Nintendo Switch. And it has several items that have been introduced into the game. And so one of the things is this gravity globe, which you can find at these, abandoned bases or this is like an abandoned landing pad. You might be able to find them there. You can trade for them on the trade platform for 8 astronium. And if you happen to shred this, you get 1 scrap out of it. And it's a new vehicle. It's, for the way of vehicles go, it's not the best. Hitting the spacebar will allow you to jump. You don't go necessarily very fast. And you can't really go up steep hills with it because it's a gravity ball. So it really, they're anticipating you going down stuff with it. It would be good for like a racetrack kind of thing, but ultimately not really useful. It's more of a toy, and it's labeled as a recreational object. So if you look at it, you can see that it is a recreational item and not really meant to be, a big part of the gameplay experience. You can pick it up, carry it with you, take it home with you, and if you're going to place it on something, it's got to be on one of these quad connectors. Otherwise, it's just not going to stay. So, yeah, that's the gravity globe. And like I said before, you can pick it up with the trade platform for 8 astronium, and you'll get the 1 gravity globe. The other thing that was introduced was a portable smelting furnace. Again, you can pick it up at the trade platform, or you can possibly find it at those down ships that you find around. It might be in one of those EXO wreckage, but it's a little bit harder chance to come across. Trading for it is probably going to be your best bet. Now, the portable smelting furnace takes 2 units of power to run, which is significantly less than the regular furnace. And we did a little timing the other night. It runs exactly the same speed as the regular smelting furnace, so it's going to produce equally as fast. But it can run on your backpack, and when you turn that sucker on, it automatically smelts that item for you. It can be put on a storage unit or some sort of platform if you want to run it that way. Again, you're still going to need 2 units of power in order to run it, but it's an easy way to be able to process resources that you wind up collecting along the way. Attach this to your vehicle, and you're just automatically smelting anything that you wind up finding if you have a drill or if you're just offloading resources. Attach it to the storage on your auto extractor, and you're automatically refining the finished good of the item that you're extracting. I think the portable smelting furnace is a huge game changer to the game. It really honestly eliminates the other smelter, and since it takes less power, you can have more smelters processing items without the huge power loss. There are these curious items that can be found on the backpacks of fallen astroneers. And when you activate it, it winds up sending a beam into space, and your skybox winds up changing. Now, we played with this a lot, and honestly, we ultimately felt that it was just a skybox changer. That's all it did. I mean, you get some really cool skybox effects. I like them a lot. When you go to the 3rd round, you even get a little bit of like some sort of funky music playing in the background. But from what I can tell currently, it doesn't do anything else other than change the skybox. Each one of them has a little bit of lore associated to it. So when you find some of these, you'll get another little piece of lore or some little part of something for lore. These are both talking about some sort of Elysium system log, so I'm not too sure what that is. Maybe that's something that they're going to release in the future. For those of you that are into cosmetics, there are some new cosmetics in the store, especially the Galastro suit, which is a super fat chubby suit, I guess. And several other items inside of the Outfitter store, including this mecha snail mask, as well as other things. It's that time of year again for the Caladranias to show up. This is, for those of you who have never done this event, it's a farming event where you wind up harvesting pumpkins that are laying around, or squash, what they call laying around, and you feed the seeds into the Caladrania, and that'll actually produce a fuel, and that fuel gets sent off on the EXO platform, and that'll wind up giving you points that then you can then turn around and get for the unlocks for the limited time event. It's called the EXO Farm. This seems to be a repeating event that happens around this time every year, around the holiday season or the fall season. And it's a lot of fun if you've never done it. And also when you complete it, you get the pumpkin shelter, which is something that you can only get once a year if you haven't gotten it already. There are some unlocks that you get while doing the limited time event. There's the biofuel throwback, which gives you a giddy up emote, honest living hat, and again, the pumpkin shelter. You also get 3 new items, which is Leaf Leap, which is an emote, Pollen Count, which is a visor, and a Galastro cap if you wind up finishing the whole thing. There were a lot of quality of life changes. One of the big ones into the creative mode, which is allowing for duplication of items that are stacked on top of the item that you're going to duplicate. So I want to duplicate this medium platform, but you notice I have an auto arm on top of it. Previously, when you duplicated it, all you would get would be the platform, and you wouldn't get the additional auto arm item. Now, when you duplicate it and you have something on top of that item that you're trying to duplicate, it'll also duplicate that as well. So that'll make it nice and easy to set up scenarios if for those of you guys that like to play in creative mode and like to build out really cool things. Another very cool quality of life addition that was made to the game is that research items now automatically slot into the research chamber if they're stacked on some sort of platform. Like in this case, I have an empty space for some research items, and if I put my research item down, a research chamber will automatically grab that item and put it into the research chamber for researching. That makes a great addition to the research chamber. Beforehand, you would have to manually put those in place, but now I envision a scenario where you have multiple of these set up on some sort of platform, and each one of these has a research item on there, and you just automatically research them because it gets sucked into the research chamber all by itself. That includes any valid research item. So if I was to grab this snail item over here and then place it, you can see that it automatically gets researched. That's the same as plant. Anything that is researchable will automatically get sucked in. If it's invalid, it will not get sucked in. But unfortunately, it looks like the Sturdy Squash samples are not recognized as a researchable item, even though it says they can be researched. You can put them manually into the research chamber and get your research bytes for it, but it will not automatically pick it up for you. That's probably a defect or an oversight on System Error's part, not too sure. The big change for the mission logs data is that the key items will automatically be tracked. So you'll no longer have to worry about finding the critical items inside of the mission logs. They'll automatically be on the active list and be tracked for you. Power extenders have gotten a change. You can now toggle a power extender to be either full bi-directional power or one-way directional power. I would have liked to have seen this be also to flip the direction of the power. You know, you have directional mode, but I would like to have it be directional going left, directional going right, and then bi-directional. At least they gave us the network power, which is a nice addition. There was a change to the Wanderer's mission. Unfortunately, I've already completed it, so I can't bring up the specific change, but it says that Things to Remember has been refactored to provide a specific objective for each scannable probe. So I think it's telling you what it's looking for when you're scanning for it, where beforehand it just gave you a bunch of beeps and not a lot of information. The EXO Request platform now has a couple additional screens, so you have the overall description of what the event is. You have your total number of bytes and how far you have to go in completing the events. It also has what gives you what type of points in this specific event. And you can see there's also on the outside of this a little circular area which is telling you what it accepts and what it's looking for this particular limited time event. There were several other quality of life items that were added into this particular patch, and you can find them in the patch notes. Again, the patch notes are always in the description. This other one, though, is pretty significant. So the large spaceport wreckages, those structures, will now give you a landing pad area. So it's not a landing pad that you put down, but it is a landing pad for those large derelict space pads. So you can find them more easily. And then there's another gravity ball there, which is kind of nice. I like the fact that these are here. I wish that the landing pad icon would have been different, however. But unfortunately, it just looks like every other landing pad, which could be confusing if you put down your landing pad and you didn't happen to have a beacon next to it or your home next to it. So I know this is my new landing pad because my home is close by it, or this one is my new landing pad because I have a beacon there. You couldn't tell otherwise that was the landing pad that you were trying for. So I think a minor change needs to happen there. Other than that, there was a ton of defect fixes that was added into this update. You know, it doesn't, you know, even though they said it's a small update, it's not really a small update. There's a lot of significant changes that have been made. A lot of defects have been fixed. A lot of quality of life stuff has been added to. And so while some people might feel that we're not getting some good stuff, there is some really good stuff in here. And finally, one of the changes for this update was that the LRDs now have some more additional information. I think the change has just been made that it has some lore associated to it. You know, it's got some observations. Does anyone else hear them whispering? Warning, don't listen to your LRDs. Right? I think that the porting, which if you use the F key and have them port, has been there for a while. If I remember correctly, it's been there for a while, and it allows you to change their style and stuff like that. And so I don't know if that's jumping all by itself. It's rolling because of the gravity, but maybe it's not rolling because of the gravity. What is it trying to do? I almost feel like it's trying to go somewhere. Yeah, not entirely sure. So for those of you guys that know what the big change was to these, you know, let me know. Because I am not entirely aware of what the huge change was. At any rate, that's it for all the changes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Would love to have you in the community. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, you can find the links in the description below. And make sure to hit that notification bell. That way you know when I go live and when I post new videos. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.